It's me, LB. Welcome to the Untitled Tarot. I wanted to come on and do a little bit of like a Pisces season update for you guys. Happy birthday to all of my Pisces. Just a reminder that you can find me here on YouTube Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Those are my normal days, and you can find me on Patreon the rest of the week. We do weekly and weekend updates. We do all of the Zodiac readings over there, so make sure you come and join the Patreon family so that way you can stay in tune with all of the energies. So Pisces season, it feels different this year than it has in previous years, and I think it's because of the aspects to Saturn, and we also have Saturn moving into Pisces on March 7th for the next 2.5 to 3 years, which adds a different tone. It adds a different flavor to the Piscean energy. I like to say that Pisces energy, it's a lot like the Seven of Cups. Like, it's very fantastical. There's a lot of dreams, right? There's a lot of fantasies, which definitely comes from like the Neptunian aspect of Pisces. But traditionally, Pisces was always associated with Jupiter, which is sort of like the expansive height of faith and where that can take us. Pisces is represented by two fishes, right? And I like to say that one of the fishes is a little bit more Neptunian, right? It's a little bit deeper in the depths. And then the other fish is more Jupiterian, right? It's higher to the surface. It's closer to the light. I think that especially with the Pisces new moon that we just had, there's a big emphasis right now on dreaming a little bit bigger, on allowing yourself to kind of manifest your own destiny, to really take your dreams seriously. But with this aspect to Saturn, it's really requiring Piscean energy in all of us who are going to be swimming in it, not just in this season, but for the next few years as well, to take those dreams seriously, to make sure that like when we set those intentions or we're believing something for ourselves, that we're also aligning our action to it as well. Saturn, I'm about to come out of my Saturn return, and if there's one thing that I've learned is Saturn doesn't really want you to talk about it. Saturn wants you to be about it. So in the spirit of that, I wanted to come on and do just an all signs, especially since I'm not doing the Zodiacs on YouTube right now. Again, like I said, you can find those on Patreon, but I did want to come do a Zodiac live stream for you guys, specifically a who, what, when, or where spread. The idea here is I want to pull 3 cards for each of the signs. I want to figure out who is Pisces season helping you to become. I want to figure out what is being required or asked of you this Pisces season. And then I also want to know where Pisces season is trying to take you, right? We can sort of look at the astrological calendar as sort of like an elevator, and each season sort of takes us up to a new level, and I want to know where Pisces season is trying to take you guys. Very good? Very good. So I have the Everyday Witches Tarot here. I'm going to do my absolute damnedest to try and timestamp this appropriately for you guys. Hopefully we'll have some bees pop into the chat. Otherwise, you guys were just going to catch this on live stream later. Very good? Very good. So, let's see. Let's start with Pisces. It's your birthday. If you are Pisces and it's your birthday, let me know when your birthday is. My birthday is March 6th, so next week, something like a week or so, week and a half, I'll have my birthday. I want to know when you're having yours. Let's see, what time is it? We'll go for 4 minutes for my Pisces. All right, Pisces, let's see. Who, what, and where. All right, Page of Wands. 9 of Swords. Ooh, got a couple. The Magician. And then we also have the 5 of Wands. All right, we have the 5 of Cups at the bottom. We have the 3 of Swords at the top. So, Pisces. With this Page of Wands, it feels like Pisces season is trying to help you become much more enthusiastic and allowing that enthusiasm to make you more resourceful. The Page of Wands has a very resourceful energy. In this deck, it's a very different interpretation, but typically in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we see the Page of Wands in sort of this big desert, right? There isn't a whole lot of resources, but his enthusiasm, his outlook, his desire to keep going, to present, to move forward is in no way diminished by what he is lacking around him. You may be feeling as though like you don't have the time, you don't have the support, like you don't have the resources that you need in order to get done what it is that you want to do. But it feels like Pisces season is really asking you to take a little bit of a deeper look and see if you can't do some recycling. Is there an idea that you have? Is there a tool that you haven't used? Is there something in your environment that you have been discounting or underestimating the usefulness of? It feels like Pisces season is trying to help you to become a little bit more youthful in spirit, a little bit more optimistic in your outlook, more enthusiastic in your approach, and overall just a lot more resourceful with what you have, realizing that, you know, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, and sometimes with a fresh set of eyes, we can notice that something in our environment is, or even a skill, a talent, something that you have is much more useful than you were previously giving yourself credit for. Very good. There's also, you know, when we talk about Wands characters, they have a really healthy sense of confidence too. So it feels like Pisces season is also trying to help you become someone who has like a higher self-esteem as well, right? Which will always sort of help your outlook. Now, when it comes to sort of what is being asked of you, what is being required of you this Pisces season, we have the Nine of Swords. There's a few things that want to come through here, Pisces. First and foremost, it feels like in order to take on this more optimistic outlook, in order to become more resourceful, in order to be more enthusiastic in your approach, we really have to get at like the root of a lot of your anxiety. Do you see this bird sitting in the windowsill? This bird feels like a spiritual messenger. It feels like support, right? And while you may not have as much physical support or community around you as you would like, it feels as though there is a sense of maybe abandonment, a sense of rejection, right? That is making this anxiety, that's making the pressure that you're putting on yourself, making it worse. Whereas if at the very least, this Pisces season, if you are able to acknowledge that, you know, you still have spiritual support, you have angels, you have guides, you have ancestors, God, like whatever it is that you resonate with, like that might be able to like fill a little bit of the void where society has kind of like left you out. There's also something here, Pisces, about like information overload that leads you into an analysis paralysis. Something that feels like it's being required of you is to sort of do a bit of an accounting. All of these books here, like go through the information that you have, go through everything that you're trying to research, everything you've studied, everything you've learned, and see if it's still applicable. Because if it doesn't apply, it might be best to like let it fly and allow yourself, because pages are student energies, right? To kind of take a beginner's mind, to maybe go back to basics. For some of you, even start from scratch, but to really figure out like what information is causing you more anxiety, causing low self-esteem by making you feel like a little bit inept, right? Sometimes when we're trying to accomplish something and we're doing all of this work, we can just see how much road is still in front of us, right? Whereas it feels like this card is trying to ask you to kind of look a little bit at the road you've already traveled, and just make sure that you're not bringing dead ends with you. So again, Pisces season is really asking you to confront the origin of your anxiety, of the pressure that you put on yourself, maybe even the tendency to isolate yourself, and that origin may just be abandonment and rejection. But remembering that you have spiritual counsel and support, it may not solve the problem, but it might help put a little bit of a balm on that wound. And again, don't necessarily think that more is more. More study, more information. Wands characters are very experiential. So if there's just a little bit too much on your desk, if you just have too many of these books, try recycling them. Try pushing them off to the side and instead focus on getting some more hands-on experience. That'll definitely pull you out of like any isolation that you're sitting in, and it's going to make you feel a lot better. Now, these last two cards are pretty interesting, Pisces. I'm not going to lie. So where is Pisces season trying to take you? We have the Five of Wands coming out in reverse, and we have the Magician coming out as well. What I want to say, Pisces, is that when you go into analysis paralysis, when you start sort of sinking into those abandonment or those rejection wounds with this Five of Wands, it's very likely that you can start projecting to the world outside of you as though it is your obstacle, it is your enemy, right? It is the opposition. When in reality, it is possible that it might be a projection of different aspects and elements within yourself that are not in harmony, right? This energy here feels a lot like judgment. It feels a lot like comparison. Why them, not me? That type of energy. Why is it so much harder for me than it is for other people, right? And that can just have us pointing our arrows in the wrong direction. Sometimes the call is coming from inside of the house. So it feels like part of where Pisces season is wanting to take you is to a place where you feel much more empowered in your magic, much more empowered in your spiritual abilities, and much more empowered in your life. The Magician, card number 1, it's self-defined, it's confident, it has agency, it knows that it has the power to alchemize, to manipulate energy. And if you notice, we were talking about resources before. The Magician doesn't have a lot. He has one single tool from each suit: a single sword, a single pentacle, a single cup, and a single wand. It's like a struggle meal. Have you ever been in your kitchen, especially when you were young, and it's like you have a can of beans and like a box of pasta and like some sour cream, and you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to make dinner out of this, but somehow like your mom still was able to pull off dinner and it was delicious. It was an American goulash and everyone was happy. This is the position that Pisces season is trying to take you to, where you're not looking for imaginary enemies outside of you. You're not allowing low self-esteem or frustration to get you to pick fights with other people or to be comparing yourself to others, but instead to recognize that you too can take a jar of sour cream and a box of spaghetti and somehow manage to create like a delicious meal for yourself that you can be proud of, that you can feel empowered in, right? There's a sense of independence and self-sufficiency and agency with this card. So that is where Pisces season is trying to take you. And again, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Cups. It's trying to take you out of a little bit of martyrdom, a little bit of this woe is me, and instead have you focus on the silver linings, on the solutions, on the resourcefulness in your own hands, so that way you remember how competent and how capable you are. Very good? Very good. Let's see who's in here. Hi, Dana. Hi, David. Jennifer. Hi, Dana. Garrett. An American goulash. Iconic. It is. It's really good. When I was little, my mom used to call it like garbage casserole. It's just like the tomato paste that was in the pantry and like some ground beef and like those weird elbow macaronis. Like it was just like, just throw it in the pot and just like let it simmer. We used to call it garbage casserole, American goulash, but it was delicious. Like we were fed, you know. So let's see, what time is it? 13 minutes. Aries. Aries, let's see what's going on for you for Pisces season. Who, what, and where? Ooh. That's so interesting to me. The Knight of Cups and Judgment at the top and the bottom. Okay, Aries, so who? We have the Knight of Wands coming out for you. So the Knight of Wands is not necessarily a long-term planner in the way that the Knight of Pentacles is. It almost feels as though this Knight of Wands was just sort of like on his way, just like going about his business, and then all of a sudden he stumbled upon this great mountain. Something that feels impenetrable, something that feels really difficult to obtain. It's a height that most people wouldn't go after. And there's also this dragon here, right? Which is sort of like this formidable opponent. But the Knight of Wands doesn't really care, because the Knight of Wands operates on just like pure fuel, pure confidence, and pure audacity. So it feels like part of what Pisces season is wanting to do for you, Aries, it's wanting to make you more brave. It's wanting to make you more courageous. it's sort of like that saying of going where angels fear to tread. It's a little bit of that energy. I'm wondering if there is a little bit of fear or like a lack of confidence in self, or to be frank, just like a playing it safe to the point of stagnation that has made like your day-to-day life a little bit vanilla, a little bit like womp womp. You may have become a little too overly strategized to the point where like you forget to act on instincts sometimes, or maybe there's like a lack of trusting your gut instincts when it says to go and do something. So it feels like Pisces season is trying to help you to become someone that is much more instinctual, that has a lot more confidence, that isn't as worried about sort of like the long-term effect of things to the point of creating stagnation and paralysis. I really like this energy for you because in a lot of ways, Aries, like this feels like sort of your natural positioning. It's a go-getter. I want it. I got it. I don't care if there's a dragon up there because like I'm an Aries. I'm the I am. And so there's sort of this feeling that over like a certain amount of time, you've kind of become like an old fart. Like you've become sort of boring and not nearly as brave and not nearly as confident or assertive. And Pisces season is trying to bring that back for you. Now, what is being asked or required of you from Pisces season is we have the Hermit. So one, there might be a need to like really take some time and do some like personal reflection here about what series of events, what lemony snicket kind of situations that you have been into that have sort of watered you down. Do you see how she's sitting inside or sitting in front of like this gigantic fire? You're a fire sign, right? And so it feels like it's really important for you, Pisces season, to like connect with your element. You may even want to try a practice like fire scrying to reconnect to fire as an element that can be used to transmute, to heal, to warm, right? To stoke the flames, and just really kind of, again, reflect on what exactly happened. Who did you bump into? What did you choose to do or choose not to do that has made you feel, remember this is Virgo energy, made you feel as though you're falling into analysis paralysis, that has made you feel as though you don't have the right to be confident. There's an owl up here in the corner. There's a feeling here, Aries, this owl seems to be telling me about like a cycle of manipulation in which the people that were around you in your formative years, whether they knew it or not, were sort of hell-bent on disempowering you. And I think that you knew that. And so when you were younger, say in your more adolescent years, right, early 20s, you really rebelled and pushed against that into like a greater sense of independence and audacity. But somewhere along the way, like the process of adulting has really sort of stolen that from you. So I wonder if, as opposed to doing inner child work, meditating with your inner teenager, your inner adolescent might actually be really beneficial to like kind of call your inner adolescent forward as a spirit guide. So that way you can tap into a little bit more of that rebellious energy, right? Because it feels like that is going to provide the confidence and the variety you need to really break up the stagnancy inside and outside. What's interesting here in the where is Pisces season trying to take you? We have the Five of Pentacles. And I don't want you to freak out because, yes, the Five of Pentacles can talk about loss and poverty and rejection and all of these things, right? But there's another aspect to the Five of Pentacles. There have been many spiritual leaders, let's say Jesus as an example, that would go into the wilderness for extended periods of time. They would forsake all aspects of materialism, status, social standing, so that way they could actually go and find themselves, what the true meaning of life was for them, who they actually were, what the meaning of God was for them. It's spiritual, it's philosophical in nature. And I don't think that Pisces season is trying to lead you to a place of poverty, Aries. What I think it is doing is trying to lead you to a place where society and status and money don't have approval, validation, don't have so much power over you that you no longer recognize yourself, that your actions aren't in alignment with who you really are, that your belief systems are disempowering as opposed to empowering, That's where Pisces season is trying to take you. And at the top and the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Cups, and we also have Judgment. And so it feels like one of the lessons from Pisces season for you is to make the decision to accept yourself, to be content within yourself, regardless of what is going on around you. Because when you tap into that energy, Aries, what the crowd thinks, the obstacles, the dragons that are in the way, they won't mean anything to you, because you know that you can do anything. And you'll be reminded of that this season. So we have for Aries. We're in here. Hi, Jen. The shepherds in Sweden that invented mac and cheese. The best shepherd stew. Hi, Maria. Anna. Good morning, guys. How are you? What day is it? It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It's a gloomy day in Jersey, which is my preferred weather. So let's see. Let's get a little water. Feeling a little hoarse. I didn't properly warm up the pipes before we hopped on. How's your Pisces season going? We're only a few days in. Is it treating you well? And don't forget, I'm coming out of my Saturn return. I know a lot of you guys are too, but some of you are moving into your Saturn return. If you have Saturn in Pisces, your time's coming. Your time is coming. And especially if you have like really significant Pisces placements, specifically in the South Node, you're also going to start feeling this energy sooner. So if it already feels like you started your Saturn return, even though technically it doesn't start until March 7th, check to see if you have any significant Pisces placements, or again, like specifically in like the 8th house or in the South Node, because that's definitely definitely gonna be it. So let's see, who do we have? Taurus. Taurus 21. All right, Taurus, let's see. I'm gonna shuffle a little bit more. Okay. Who is Pisces season trying to help you to become? What is being asked from you, and where are you going? I'm almost out too. Yeah. I'm a Pisces sun though. So Pisces Saturn just moving into my sun. Garbage. It's just garbage situation. Let's see. Ooh, Taurus, you got a lot. All right, hold on. Everybody be cool. All right, let's see. So, when it comes to who, Taurus, we have the Two of Swords coming out, but I want you to look especially at this card, right? Here, this character is blindfolded like we normally see in the Two of Swords, but here she has a bullseye. She has a target, and it looks like she's already hit one of them, and now she's going for a second one. So it feels like part of who Pisces season is trying to help you to become is much more instinctual, trusting of your senses, especially your sixth senses. You know, as a Taurus, you can get very sort of caught up in like the earthly realm or the practicality of things, the usefulness of things. And sometimes intuition doesn't always make sense. I'm also feel really drawn to the raven and the black cat in this card as well. And so there seems to be something here that Pisces season is wanting to help you embody and integrate a lot more of your shadow, so that way you can operate at a higher level in your intuitive senses, but also be much more instinctual about your goals, about your objectives, right? About where exactly your bullseye is. There is something about, so the example that they're giving me, which can be a triggering example. So, but if you were in an accident, right? Let's say there was a drunk driving accident, heaven forbid. More often than not, it's the drunk driver who emerges unharmed from that crash. And why is it? It's because they're drunk, right? Which means that they're not tensed up. They're not overthinking things. Their body is really loose. Like their body is really fluid, right? And so it's just like if you, like the Eight of Pentacles, like if you practice something over and over and over again, when it comes time to do it, you just speak, you just do, you just point, you just make it happen because you're relaxed, right? You're eased into it. And that allows the subconscious to speak to you much quicker. And especially in regards to, say, like the shadow, things that you don't want to be focusing on, things that are not worth your time, places that your blessings things aren't, right? All of that information is going to be able to come through for you. There's also sort of like a fun energy with this Two of Swords. It's almost as if she's like sitting in a bar and she just took a bet. Oh, I bet you can't hit the bullseye with these darts, right? Blindfolded, you know? It's that kind of feeling. There's sort of also a feeling of like upping the ante, kind of going back to that bar analogy. It's like, I bet you can't hit a bullseye in darts. Absolutely I can. Let's double or nothing. I'll blindfold myself too. I'll do it behind my back, right? I'll turn around. Like, so there seems to be something that Pisces season is trying to get you to be like a little bit more adventurous, integrating more of your shadow so you can kind of relax into it. When your shadow is integrated, you feel more protective because you know that you can handle your shit, and that allows you to keep your focus on where you want that dart to go. Very good. Very good. So in terms of what Pisces season is asking from you, we have this Seven of Pentacles coming up. So the first thing, Taurus, is that there's a pruning process that is needed here. Especially with Pentacles being a very earthly energy, you might just have too much stuff around you. So I'm wondering if there is like some sort of physical purge, or maybe even like a lightening of the load in terms of like what you're doing for work, or how many projects you're trying to hit all at one time. Don't forget, the Two of Swords is a lot about focus right here. And if you have 1,000 different projects, a bunch of different ideas, all of that stuff, they're going to end up like half finished. They're going to end up stressing you out. They're going to make you feel as though like you're not able to keep up. So there's some pruning that's needed here. Let's pull back. Let's see what's our bullseye, right? What's my objective? What do I really want to do? What's the most important thing to do right now? And like kind of take the rest off of your plate. In the same breath, I also want to say that Pisces season is asking you to kind of be like a better steward over what it is that you're trying to accomplish, like, and or figure out how to maintain what it is that you already have, or maintain what it is that you're wanting to do, right? There's a lot of pentacles in these trees. And if each one of them is representative of a different business or a different plan or a different idea or a this or a that, right? Like, that's a lot to upkeep. That is a lot to maintain. And so even though this pentacle might be our favorite, this might be the actual bullseye, the thing that we actually want to work on. If we have to go here and pluck and water and pull back and prune, sooner or later, this is going to start rotting off the vine, right? And so I think that there is something maybe around like workaholism, or again, like overloading your plate, or you have so many ideas or things that you want to do, responsibilities, obligations, that like the stuff that is really important to you, it ends up like not really being maintained, not being taken care of in a way that it can continue to thrive and grow and get bigger. So part of what Pisces season is asking you is to prune and to learn how to better maintain that which is of value for you, right? It's sort of the idea of like the universe going like, why are we going to give you more if you have it mastered, taking care of and maintaining what we already have? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So let's look at, where is it trying to take you? We have the Ten of Cups and we have the Fool. So one, these are absolutely beautiful energies. The Ten of Cups talks a lot about community. It talks a lot about family. What I like in this Ten of Cups is it sort of feels like a day off, right? There's a sense here that like these people, they're not trying to motivate each other. They're not trying to girl boss. They're not trying to like reach the stars. Like they just want to have a picnic, right? And I think so often, especially in sort of like a post-COVID world, we make connections from the point of networking. We try and bring people together because, you know, they're in spiritual resonance, or like we share the same ideologies, or, right? It's like there has to be some kind of like tangible benefit, right? It has to like logically make sense. We have to be like girl bossing and growing together, right? And that's cool. Like there's nothing absolutely at all wrong with that, but there is something to be said for just being able to like shoot the shit with other people, to just enjoy quality time, to build emotional intimacy, right? And maybe Taurus, this is like one of those pentacles on the vine, right, that like hasn't been properly maintained or tended to in the way that maybe it should be. So it feels like part of where Pisces season is trying to take you, especially with this Fool card, is to feel liberated enough to actually be able to spend that quality time with the people that you care about, to build authentic relationships that are purely for the sake of just enjoying each other's company, and to kind of get off the hamster wheel a little bit, especially if there is some unintegrated shadow that's going to make you feel unsafe, that's going to make you feel like you have FOMO, it's going to have you tense up, doing too much, right? Just throwing anything at the wall like spaghetti to see what sticks. Meanwhile, the most important things in life, right, the things that money can't buy, are these personal relationships, a sense of freedom, right? Feeling liberated, feeling flexible, tapped more into our instincts, and recognizing what is truly important to you and what is going to actually increase your quality of life much more than having a million things to do all at once, right? So pare it down, prune it out, prioritize what is important, and trust your instincts. Very good? Very good. Hello. We have done Pisces, Aries, and Taurus, and then we are about to move on to Gemini. What are you guys talking about in here? Are you being silly? Oh, thanks. You like the yellow nails. Thank you. Yep. We're doing an all sign. So I did Pisces, I did Aries, and I did Taurus. And now, oh, I have a flipper. Hold on. And I have Gemini. Gemini is coming up next. I'm pretty sure on the live streams you can just rewind if you want to watch one of the first 3 signs that we did. All right. Let's see, what time is it? Gemini. Let's see, Gemini. Who, what, where? Ooh. Ooh. Hey, Gemini. What? Ah. Where? Okay. My little philanthropist. All right. So, when it comes to who is Pisces season trying to help you to become, Gemini, we're looking at the Emperor. There's a lot of power, and this is power that is self-contained. If you notice here, he's not in a throne room. He's actually in like a mountainscape. Oh, there's so many things coming through. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is because he's in like a natural environment with all of like this mountaintop, this mountainscape here, that talks to me a lot about like the physical body. So there's a feeling here that part of who Gemini wants you to become is, one, someone who takes really good care of their body, someone that's like in control of their health, in control of their impulses, anger, like emotions, that type of thing, right? There's also something here with this Emperor about Pisces season wanting to help you to become a person who's very good at consolidating their power. At the top and the bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Cups, and we also have the Seven of Swords. The Queen of Cups is a very sensitive energy, and I know that Geminis would never admit it, but I know a lot of Geminis. I've dated a couple Geminis, and y'all are a sensitive bunch. You're mutable. You're the twins. Pisces are the twin fishes. All the mutable signs are a little bit sensitive, right? But with this Seven of Swords here, there is a sense that when something happens, maybe someone's not very kind to you, when things don't go your way, right? When that sensitive button gets pushed in the wrong way, right? You tend to like give your power away, right? By allowing other people to have too much control over your emotions, by allowing situations to disempower you, to allow situations that happen or the way people treat you to change the way that like you feel about yourself, the way you treat yourself. And maybe like if people haven't been investing in you, they haven't been treating you well, maybe it has led to you not being kind to your own body, taking care of your own self, right? But our ability to tend to ourselves should not be predicated on someone else's willingness to do it for us or do it with us, right? So as I said before, there's a star right underneath that healing, right? Part of who Pisces season is trying to help you to become, Gemini, is someone who is not just very much in control of themselves, of their health, of their body, but also in the consolidation of their power by not giving so much of it away to other people. Now, in terms of what Pisces season is asking of you, the Six of Pentacles is coming up. So when I look at these two cards, the first thing that comes to my head is like a benevolent dictator, right? The thing is like the Six of Pentacles is a card about sharing, right? What I like about this card is traditionally in the Rider-Waite-Smith, when we see the Six of Pentacles, there is one rich man with a bag handing out pentacles, and there's two beggars on their knees on the ground. Which I hate that visual, because one, like, it creates a sense of desperation, and it creates a sense of like hierarchy, right? The haves and the have-nots. Whereas in this deck, I think it's like a much higher embodiment, of the Six of Pentacles, this energy of sharing, of generosity, of energy exchanges, right? And so it feels like what's being asked of you in Pisces season is to, one, not allow other people's stinginess, withholding, lack of support for you make you selfish or withholding from others. I also feel like because in this card, these people are standing up on their own 2 feet, right? Side by side, right next to you. It feels as though Pisces season is asking you to be generous, to learn how to wield your personal power once you reclaim it in a way that is what's the way I want to describe it? In a way that has like equanimity to it. This might be something, because it's a 6, it's in the middle of the suit. This might be something that you have to learn, Gemini. Your experiences with power may be the people who have it and use it to suppress you and others, and then on the other side, people who feel like they don't have any power, either because it was taken away or because it was given away. And so it feels like Pisces season is asking you this month to renegotiate your relationship with power, how you want to give, to be of service, to be generous with others without creating a hierarchy, without creating like a power play, right? Not that instinctually you would, but because oftentimes we unconsciously play out patterns that were taught to us, right? Does that make sense? There also might be something here about like some charitable work as well. Like maybe, you know, you should go through some of your old clothes, donate them, right? Have a yard sale, donate that money to charity, you know, get a like a food drive together. That's what I want to use. A food drive together in your neighborhood, right? To give to a local pantry. Even what do they call them, like the little libraries. My neighborhood has like a little library where kids can take books out and then people can kind of donate books and put them in. Do something philanthropic, because it will remind you of how you can benevolently and responsibly wield power, which will create a really delicious contrast for you in comparison to the way that you've experienced power in the past. In terms of where it's trying to take you, Pisces season, Gemini, we have the Two of Wands and we have the Ten of Cups coming out again. So I think that Pisces season is in the process of preparing you to sort of go out there and build a little bit of a bigger world, right? It's like once you've learned to master that, you can take the whole world in your hand and you can go, all right, how can I bring these like benevolent power structures to the world to create more harmony, to create more dialogue, to make sure that like everyone can eat, that everyone gets a slice of the pie, that we're taking care of, that we are being compassionate to people of all generations, sexes, genders, backgrounds, belief systems, right? It's a very philanthropic energy, which isn't necessarily like the energy that I would immediately associate with you, Gemini. That's like a very Aquarian energy, right? But that seems to be where Pisces season is trying to take you. Figuring out how to no longer give so much of your power away, so that way you can consolidate it and use it for a higher purpose and for the greater good. So, I like that, Gemini. Look at you. It's funny to me because Gemini gets stereotyped as sort of like the villain of the zodiac, right? Like, I think Geminis and Virgos catch so much slack from like the astrological community. Everyone's always picking on them, right, for being like these super villains, and yet Gemini might be the one to save the world. So joke's on you guys. Oh, and it is really interesting too, Gemini, is that Mars has been in your sign for far too long. Far too long. I know that because my natal Mars is in Gemini. But, you know, Mars is about power. And it does represent, you know, the Emperor Aries energy. And so I think that actually blends together quite perfectly. Very good. Very good. Let's see who we have next. We have Cancer. We have Cancer next. Oh my God, we have a flipper. I'm getting these little flippers. Sort of reminds me of that dolphin movie. And don't forget, on my Patreon, in the Honeycomb, we do like weekly and weekend energy readings, tarot readings, which is a really good way to sort of like check the weather. I was telling, whether it was this week or last weekend, a lot of the advice for the Patreons was like certain things to do and to avoid in terms of like spiritual work that was not going to be effective or helpful for them. Like, there's a lot of goodies over there. So make sure that you guys go and you check it out so you don't miss out on anything. And the readings this week, the zodiac readings this week, were so powerful. I was actually quite surprised. I did the Everyday Witches Tarot, but I also used the Witches Oracle, which is this gorgeous pagan deck that I have. And the messages that came through, like, they were so heart-based, but they were also so honest. Yeah, I'm really proud of the work on the Patreon this week. So make sure you come and you join us. See what's going on in this chat. Hi, Maria. Those are great placements. David, you have a Gemini moon. That makes sense. All right. All right. Let's see. What time is it? 41. Cancer. Cancer. Let's see. Not too bad. All right, Cancer. Let's see. Who, what, and where. Ooh. You have like a very warm energy coming out of the heart, Cancer. And it's like, I know this sounds funny, but it's the energy almost feels like whiskey and smooth jazz. And there's, for some reason, bringing up New Orleans. I don't know why. That's got to be for like one individual person who's going to watch this on the replay later. I like Cancer. Let's see. Who? Ooh. That's who. Let's see. What? Oh. Okay. Let me take this too. Where? Ten of Cups is coming up a lot. That makes sense. That's a Pisces card. Let's see. All right. Cancer. So you have the Queen of Pentacles coming out in the Who Pisces season is trying to help you to become. The first thing that feels really important is becoming someone who takes stock of their accomplishments. Do you see all of the fruits on the tree? All in the bushes all around her? It brings up to my mind like that piece of scripture that like you will know them by their fruits. And there seems to be something about the fact that like you don't acknowledge actually like the fruits of your labor. You don't acknowledge like the spiritual power that you have, the kind of person that you are, right? Kind, loving, generous, hardworking, intelligent, right? Creative, artistic. That feels really important. When we look at the Queen of Wands, she obviously is like very nurturing, but it talks a lot more about self-care and self-nurturing. Someone that's really able to take care of themselves in like a really gentle way. It feels like you're being asked to tend to yourself on sort of like a body, mind, and soul level. by obviously taking care of your physical needs, but also taking care of your emotional needs, which acknowledging your accomplishments, both past, present, and, you know, hopefully in the future will help you to do. There's also an aspect to the Queen of Pentacles that people don't talk a lot about, that talks to sensuality, right? She's an earth queen, which obviously talks about the body. And so I'm wondering if like body confidence, body positivity, self-esteem, learning how to feel like strong and sexy and soft all at the same time, like regardless of sex or gender or, you know, pants size, that's going to be really important for you as well. I'm noticing that she's surrounded by all of these black cats, which for me feels like the projections of other people's shadows. And it also feels to me, Cancer, as though Pisces season is asking you to become someone that loves themselves so much, that is so affirmative in their self-talk, right, in their inner dialogue, someone that is so proud and loving to the physical body of that they have, that anyone else's shadow, anyone else's projections, they can just hang out like right in the neighborhood, right in the room, and it won't bother or affect or move this Queen of Pentacles at all. Now, when it comes to what is required of you this season, I see the Tower, and I also see the Seven of Cups. The Tower is card number 16, which also breaks down to a 7. The 7s in tarot talk about progress that is made through conflict, friction, and challenge. It feels as though part of what's being asked for you is to completely tear down that in which is causing you confusion, because there's a little bit of a tug of war between what you want to be deserving of, and what you actually feel like you can have, what you feel like you're deserving of, which are not the same things. So there's a bit of a like emotional work that's needed, and again, a lot of that's going to come through self-appreciation and an affirmative inner dialogue for you, so make sure that what you say you want and what you feel you can have are exactly the same. So it feels as though there are a lot of illusions that sort of need to be shattered. Figuring out that in which is causing you confusion and tearing that down as well. And that kind of puts you in a perfect position to where Pisces season is trying to take you, which is this Ace of Swords and this Two of Wands, which is getting very, very clear about who you are, about what you want to go, about what you're trying to build into this world. The clearer you are with the universe, the clearer you are with yourself, the more clearly you are going to see what you want manifested in your physical reality. There's a feeling of mixed signals. You send mixed signals to the world when you actually feel a certain way about yourself. You send mixed signals to the universe when you actually don't think that maybe you can have it, right? There's a lack of gratitude here, not because you're like a selfish jerk, but because you, again, are negating, appreciating, and recognizing your own fruits, your own accomplishments, right? I'm beautiful and I'm strong and I accomplished that thing and I won that gold medal when I was in the 3rd grade and I won a foot race and I'm a really good artist and I'm a really good manager and I always think of other people's feelings and like, again, like really building yourself up. There's a feeling here of like morale. There needs to be like a raise, a shift in sort of emotional morale in your life, and you're gonna be the one to do it, and you're gonna do it by throwing out, crumbling, setting ablaze anything that's causing you confusion, people, places, and things that are making you question your self-worth, and again, identifying where your mixed messages are coming from, and then applying self-care, self-love, and positive affirmation as the medicine to it. And as that happens and you move through Pisces season, you will find yourself feeling more powerful, more clear, more determined, and getting a much more vivid picture about what it is that you want to do, be, and create in the world. Very good. Sounds good to me, Cancer. Sounds good to me. Aw, thanks, Jennifer. No time to chat when LB brings the most heartful advice all week. Thanks. I try. I'm like a Macy Gray song, right? Let's see. Who do we have next? Leo. Leo. Came in on Cancer. Hi, Karma Control TV. Hello. I did do Gemini at 31 minutes. So if you just rewind a little bit, it'll be right there for you, my noodle. Make sure that you guys like the stream, share it with your friends. YouTube is not always very good about like pushing out my content. I've been getting a lot of emails and messages from people recently going, I thought you stopped making YouTube videos. It's been 6 months since I saw a video of yours like pop up on my homepage. I think it's a conspiracy against me, but if you guys make sure that you like the stream, that you share it with your friends, if you think they could use a little pick-me-up for Pisces season, hit the notification bell. I post here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's the new schedule on YouTube, so that way you don't miss out when I do these collective readings or when I do these live streams. Look, it's the magician. I'm asserting myself. I really appreciate the help in that arena, because YouTube is not always sort of pro creator. Let's see. Leo, we have 49 minutes. Let's see. Who, what, where? Who? What? Where, Leo? This is sort of interesting. What are you doing, Leo? That's my question. You're saying. Feel alive, check my thumbnail. There's pretty pics. I always miss them in my feed. I know, I had a conversation with my spirit yesterday about like my artsy thumbnails. And I know that I could be creating like more eye-catching, like creator, influencer friendly. Like if I made a thumbnail with like me, and I had like, you'll never guess what happened, you know what I mean? Like karmic contracts with like bright and sparkles. I'm sure that more people would like be attracted to the videos. But something that Leo, we're gonna get to in a second, but something that like I've noticed, especially in like spiritual community and like tarot readers on here, but also on like TikTok and Instagram, it feels like there's always such a sense of like catastrophe, like urgency, imminence, like in all of the readings and all of the thumbnails, right? And part of the benefit of that is, yes, it's eye-catching, so it helps the creator, but it spikes the dopamine. Like when you're watching readers and they're like, oh my god, and this is coming in and this is amazing, and right? And you see the thumbnails and like there's just a lot going on. Like it's meant to kick up fear, so then you go, and this is a marketing strategy, right? Like if you get any business or marketing book, this is how they tell you to do it. But like I have an ethical problem with it. Like I have an ethical problem with it, right? It's like, if you don't watch this video, like you're not gonna know how to prepare. And like that, in a world where we're already so stressed out, I don't think we need that. In a world when we're already in like a sensory overload, I don't want to be creating content, and I don't want to be creating thumbnails that make you feel like freaked out or spike your dopamine or are like sort of I don't know, like gimmicky. That's just not who I am, right? Like I am an artist at my core, right? I have a lot of different mediums. Some of it is tarot, some of it is watercolor, some of it is music, some of it's channeling, right? I'm an artist, and there's like a level of integrity that I have with my work. And so I was talking about this last night with my own spirit, and I said, you know what, screw it. Like I like the fact that like I can put these beautiful pieces of art that otherwise people may not see, like a little slice of beauty like that. Like even if you don't watch the reading, like maybe you just saw like a beautiful painting from the 18th century, and like maybe that's the only slice of art you're gonna get all day, even if you never even click on the reading. And like if I can just do that and make my feed more beautiful, more artistic, then I'm gonna do that. And if it costs me some views, then that's fine. Like that's all right, you know? I work hard on my channel. I work really hard on these readings for you guys. I work hard when I'm tired. I work hard on days when I'm struggling with my own faith to show up and sort of be like a beacon for others, you know? And I hope that one day, like, this community is going to be able to grow and expand. But at the same time, like, this is a community, right? And so sometimes I also do need assistance. So, like, when you watch the videos, to make sure, like, you like them, or that, like, you are subscribed, or that, like, you do share them sometimes, because that helps me, right? To show up and do more for you. There's a synergy, right? And so, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. You know? in a lot of ways. Maybe it's not the best marketing strategies, but it's, you know, a personal integrity and ethics thing for me. So, and I like to think that my work speaks for itself, and I like to think that my heart does too. And in a world where there's 1,000,001 things happening all of the time, I just try and hope that that's enough, you know? So, back to Leo. I have to move this. I have to move your timestamp now. So I spent 3.5 minutes going on a small tangent. Yeah, sharing is caring, y'all. Okay, so Leo. Yeah, Leo. We have the 3 of Pentacles. We have the 5 of Pentacles. We also have the 4 of Wands. We have the Knight of Cups, and we have the Queen of Swords at the top and the bottom. So most immediately, what I want to say is part of who Pisces season is trying to help you to become is someone that works better with others, someone that works better with others, right? So the thing is, like, this character in the green here obviously feels as though, like, they are the main artist of whatever this project is, right? But the thing is, and I think that as a Leo, like, you kind of like to be, like, the big cheese in charge. Like, you're a fire sign. Like, you like to be assertive. You like to be on stage. Like, you like to be sort of, like, in the front of the pack. But what I like about this card is it does feel like she is actually, like, listening and absorbing, like, the guidance, the suggestion, the input of, like, these other characters. There's something interesting here that it feels as though it's asking you to, one, work better with others, but also to, like, learn from others. Fire signs, wands, people, they're very experiential. They don't always like to, like, learn in books. They like to learn from hands-on experience, right? Which is a admirable quality, I think. But there is something to be said to learn from people that have, like, been in the game longer than you, that, like, know better than you, that have more experience, right? And so it feels like Pisces season is trying to allow you to become someone who can work really cohesively and harmoniously with other people without also feeling diminished or smothered. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. There's also something here about like a lack of competition, right? That feels really important as well. There may be times, Leo, where you may feel like a little too competitive, and that prevents you from creating, like, authentic and sincere connections with others. Does that make sense? Sometimes we can build walls and not bridges. So it feels like Pisces season is asking you to become someone who can build bridges, not walls, work better with other people. At the top and the bottom, like I said, we have the Knight of Cups, and we also have the Queen of Swords here, right? And so there's this feeling that, like, occasionally, Leo, like, people will come to you and they're gonna wanna, like, hang out. They want to get to know you. Like, they want to get close. But with this Queen of Swords, there's this feeling of, what's your intentions with me? Like, what are your motivations? Like, what do you want, right? Like, there's a kind of, like, a stiffness here, or, like almost presuming someone is, like, guilty of something when, like, they actually maybe just want to, like, sincerely connect with you, right? There may also be potentially part of what Pisces season may be asking you to do is to become someone that is more comfortable with constructive criticism, not mean-spiritedness, right? But constructive criticism. That when someone, just like someone said, like, have you ever considered, like, with the thumbnails? And I was like, you know what, actually I have considered it, and I know, but I thought, like, I've thought about it, and it doesn't feel right for me, right? Like, that was input, right? That was a suggestion. That was a constructive criticism, right? And I didn't have to take it on the chin. I was like, I thought about it. It's okay. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So being a little bit more like that. Now, in terms of, like, what Pisces season is asking from you, the 5 of Pentacles is coming out. So I'm going to go back to sort of this idea of, like, materialism. Also, this 5 of Pentacles feels like you kicking people, like, out into the cold, Leo. Like, this almost feels like this is you in your room, sort of, like, inside of this house, warm, cozy, right? You've got your hearth burning, like, everything going on. And then you have, like, these people out here in the snow. It feels like part of what's being asked for you is to be a better judge of character, not allowing woundedness or, again, walls, criticism, stuff like that to distort your perception of other people, because there might be people that do not want to work harmoniously with you. There are people that maybe, like, do want something from you, or do want to take advantage, or are, like, overly competitive with you, that make you feel like you have to be on more of the defensive. But feels like it's important for you to figure out like which people those are, because it's not everyone. Not everyone is against you. Not everyone can be your enemy. Just statistically, it's not possible, right? So it feels like part of what's being asked of you this season is to sit, bring it down, and kind of reflect on like what people, or maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on, and what people am I letting too close? Who's got to stay and who has got to go, right? With this Five of Pentacles as well, there also is like a separation from materialism. Don't forget, Saturn in Pisces, it doesn't care about like all the trinkets and all the stuff that you want. Saturn does not really care about like your social status and all of that stuff. Saturn cares if like you do the work. And sometimes if we feel as though we're not appearing as strong or impenetrable or as impressive as we want, right? We can try and gather things to kind of wear like a costume to make ourselves feel the way that we want to feel, as opposed to harnessing that sense of self inside. And it's that strong sense of self, it's that healthy sense of ego that allows us to commune and work with others in a much more harmonious way, which is good for us, and it's good for others, and it's good for the creations that we're trying to bring out into this world. And when it comes to where Pisces season is trying to take you, it's the Four of Wands, right? It's community, it's celebration. This celebration is shared in. This is like, hey, we all worked on it together. Look, we started with this room, and then we built it to this little cabin, and now we have an entire castle in the background. Like, look how much we can do together when we put our minds together, right? I also like in this card that you see how all of their wands are pointing up to the sky. Something that we were talking about on the Patreon this week is about wands and their purpose and magic, which is to tell the magic where to go. We use wands to direct energy in a certain direction, right? And so again, it might be possible. It might be beneficial for you to recognize that like your philosophical, your practical, your material, your spiritual goals, your future goals, they're not just yours. Like, other people have similar goals as well. They have similar philosophies. They view the world in a different way. They want to make a similar type of change, right? And this, with everyone's wands pointing up, shows that when we join forces, when we consolidate our efforts together, when we're all operating sort of as like a single unit, right? We get a lot more done, and we all eat. We all benefit from that. I'm glad that I let my guard down and I let some of these Knight of Cups come in to restore your faith in humanity, to remind yourself that like you don't have to do it all by yourself, and you can actually get more done with others. And again, too, derive a really healthy sense of self from the inside that is not predicated on how things look on the outside. Very good. So, let's see. Hi, dear Roy. Thank you, Karma Control. I did Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and then we're going to do Virgo. You guys can catch it on the replay. I am going to timestamp it, and you can also rewind. Pisces reading was at 4 minutes. It's the first one we did. All right, Virgo. What time is it? It's an hour. Here we go. An hour and 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay, Virgo. Who? Ooh, you got 2. Ooh. What? Where? Ooh. Okay. Oh, a lot of this feels very preparatory. We have the 8 of Wands at the bottom, and we have the Ace of Cups at the top. So it feels like, first and foremost, Virgo, that Pisces season is a time for you to reconnect, to replenish your cup, kind of allow that. It almost feels like a 9 of Cups energy before this 8 of Wands comes in. Do you see how it comes in like a tornado, right? It's sort of like this weather event, a supernatural event. It feels like there's like a turning of the tide for you, and Pisces season is a lot about preparing for that. We have the Hierophant, and we also have the Queen of Pentacles. coming out. These are Taurian and Capricorn energies. So that's interesting. I'm wondering if embodying some Capricorn or some Taurian energies might be really beneficial for you, because the thing is, Virgo, is that you are an earth sign, but you're ruled by Mercury, meaning that like you're much more cerebral than the other earth signs, right? And so it's just like whatever, I'm not gonna go into that. Stay on focus, Laura, focus. So as I said, you are ruled by Mercury, so you're much more cerebral than the other earth signs, right? With the Hierophant and the Queen of Pentacles, there's something here about like staying in place. It feels like you have like a little bit of like a squirrely energy, or sometimes you like pull the chicken out of the oven like before it's done, right? So like you have a souffle and you pull it out and then it just kind of sinks. So it feels like meditation. The Hierophant's talking about like routine, spiritual ritual that feels really important, right? As a form of self-care. Addressing any sort of runaway bride type of tendencies that you had, which I actually think was the name of Capricorn's reading from yesterday, I believe. It's coming out. Capricorn runaway bride reading. It's coming out. It's coming out on Patreon this week. To work through any fight or flight, any squirrely energy, any sort of like internalized fear of staying in the same place too long. It feels like it's important though, because if you look in this Queen of Pentacles, do you see how she has this treasure chest full of tokens? Like there's so much money in this thing, right? So the idea here is to stay in a place long enough to actually consolidate the power and the resources that you want and that you need. If you're always leaving, if you're always walking away, if you're always in the Eight of Cups energy, if you're always starting over, you can't build upon what it is you already have, right? So much of manifestation, so much of progress, so much of development, that 10 of Pentacles energy, it comes from the accumulation of time and effort and intention, and that requires us to kind of stay in the same place, right? To hold that space. And in order to quell that anxiety or that squirreliness, right, that you have, practicing self-care and including it as a part of your spiritual routine may really benefit you. So what I want to say is Pisces season is trying to help you to become someone that doesn't run away before things get good and learns how to commit to a schedule and routine that is caring and nurturing to both themselves and the things they want to create in the world. Does that make sense? You also, because there's other people, I know there's always other people in the Hierophant card, but there also feels like something about like accountability partners. Virgo, Pisces season might be asking you to get a friend or get a couple friends to hold each other accountable for what it is you said you want to do. Because when you are the boss in your own life, right? When you make the rules, when you set your intentions, you can always write yourself like a pink slip. You can always write yourself a hall pass. Well, I feel like crap today, so I'm gonna have, you know, the milkshake and a pint of whiskey, like whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to kind of like let yourself off the hook. And I think sometimes like that's needed, but sometimes we need to be really intentional. We need to be consistent. We need to be accountable. So having a friend or two to help you do that might be really beneficial for you. Even like people do work groups, right? Or like accountability partners for work. Like if you're trying to write a book or if you're trying to finish a course or something like that, you get a couple friends on Zoom, you sit there, you work together quietly, whatever, for like a couple hours. It just keeps you accountable. It keeps you on task. Try that. It might really help you this season. When it comes to what is being required of you, you have the Magician coming out, which is kind of exciting because there is a little bit of this like back to basics. There's a feeling of I don't really feel capable, right? Or feeling as though like you're sort of prone to lose or fail before you even start, and maybe that is part of this runaway bride squirrely energy, because if you're always starting over, then you never have the opportunity to experience something failing if it never really gets off the ground. And so it feels like with this Magician card, part of what's being asked to you, even in terms of like this spiritual routine, is to like go to your altar, go to your work desk, go back to basics, practice energy exchange, practice alignment. Do you see how the glow around the head, right? Practice harnessing the power of love through the heart space in order to bring forth what you want. get a hold of your thoughts, your beliefs, your ideologies, practice how they can shift things, get in touch with your emotions, right? Your relationships, love, intimacy, pay attention to the physical body, passion, drive, motivation, and also this pentacle, physical efforts, resources, diminishing returns, all of that type of stuff. Really get to know your tools practically and spiritually. Go in and do a refresher, like an orientation about how your energy works. Everybody's energy is different. Everybody manifests different. All of your magic works in different and beautiful and unique ways. Learn it. Some of you are also really struggling with tarot for some reason, like you're trying to use divination. This is a side message. Some of you are trying to use divination in order to help you make decisions, but you don't understand your cards, and it's because you're not studying. You have to study the cards a little bit, not just through keywords, and get a couple books, right? If you need book recommendations, let me know. I'd be more than happy to give you book recommendations. It's no problem at all. But regardless, understand your tools. Go back to basics like it's elementary school. Figure that out. It's going to make you feel as though you have the internal resources, the skills that you need to stay in place and build a cumulative success story. And then where Pisces season is trying to take you, it's the star. It's healing, right? There's a sense of faith and optimism here. The star for me also talks about navigation. And if you see, she's mirroring a lot of what the magician does, this as above, so below type of energy. So it feels like Pisces season is trying to take you to a place where you are harnessing more of the Jupiterian aspect of Pisces, which feels very expanded by their faith and their communion with the divine, which allows them to have greater access to sort of power on earth and the ability to shift and mold things in a way that is more pleasing for them. And as sort of a card of navigation, it's also trying to get you to a place where you're healed enough to allow yourself to go and have what it is you actually want without running away from it because you feel like you can't handle it, because you feel like you don't deserve it. Very good? All right. All right. I caught up. Yay, I said to myself, I caught up for my energy. Use some energy. Hi. Hi, Skywalker. Full screen time. Okay, Virgo. I am time stamping. Virgo, rising moon, Pluto in Vedic. It's so funny that you say that, Data. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about doing the same exact thing. I'm a rising Libra, but in my Vedic chart, I am a rising Virgo, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense about my meticulousness. I know. I want pizza and brownies right now, and that's not happening. It's okay. Last night, I ordered a foot-long hot dog and a cheeseburger. And I ate the other half of that cheeseburger this morning for breakfast because fed is best, and I'm out of eggs. I'm out of eggs, so I ate the other half of that cheeseburger this morning, and I don't regret it for a minute. Not one hot second. Fed is best. Fed is best. Very good. Very good. I always say that. I think it's something that I picked up from Tabitha Brown. During COVID, I was in like a very dark and scary place. And that's when Tabitha Brown, back when she was still doing like a lot of cooking videos on her YouTube channel, and like Fridays with Tab and Chance, like those came out. And I just like, she's like a very Queen of Pentacles type of energy. She was just like very loving and like positive and like motherly. And so I just like binge watched all of her videos. I'm like, where's Tabitha? I need a word. Where's Tabitha? And so I ended up like picking up like a little bit of her jargon. Hi, Sheila. We just did Virgo. All right, let's see. Libra. Let's see. So that's 10 hour and I'm gonna give it 15 seconds and 13 minutes. It's out in the snow. A cheeseburger should be breakfast food. I agree. It was delicious. Like, it was it's delicious. Have you ever tried a vegan diet? Yeah, I have. I've also done, like, Daniel fasts, and I was a vegetarian for years, all of it. But, you know, for me, I'm a carnivore. Like, I like... It's like Arby's, we want the meats, you know? Let's see. Libra. Who? Ooh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. What? Oh, wow. Where? Okay, Libra. Very cool. Very cool. So you have the High Priestess, and you also have the Eight of Swords in reverse, Libra. So who Pisces season is trying to help you to become is, one, it's trying to help you step into your High Priestess energy, which is someone that, one, really values their privacy. There's something about, like, this sanctity of, like, who you are, what you do, and what you're capable of, right? The High Priestess, I know that everyone, like, on, like, tarot channels likes to, like, present themselves as the High Priestess, but actually, like, the High Priestess doesn't really consult with others. The High Priestess sort of sits between the veil, and she doesn't really take a lot of appointments, right? And part of it is privacy, and part of it is, like, the sanctity. There's something here about the fact that, like, you forget how, like, sacred you are, and that, like, your spiritual abilities are, like, these very highly tuned skills that you have mastered over lifetimes. And it's like there are these aspects, these abilities that you have. There's a lot of power that you're able to hold, and there's a lot of information that you have as well that other people are not privy to from the etheric realms, right? And when you forget that, you fall into this Eight of Swords, where all of a sudden you feel as though, like, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, sort of like lost sheep in the dark, when in reality, when you tap into your more intuitive nature, don't forget, like, you are justice, right? You are kind of sitting right in the middle of the balancing of the scales. It will prepare you mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally for sort of what's coming, what's happening around you. So it feels like part of Pisces season is trying to help you to become someone that appreciates the sacredness of who you are and the spiritual abilities that you have, and use them for the betterment of yourself, to make you a little bit more strategic in this life. She is scrying in a crystal ball. She has her tarot cards out. It looks like she has runes out. She has a lot of information behind her, right? You need to give yourself more credit for the intelligence that you hold. All of it's going to make you feel a lot more powerful. There's also a connection to the shadow right here, in a really empowered way. Very good. Now, in terms of, like, what is being asked of you, with the Page of Cups, when we see the High Priestess, here's a little tarot lesson for you. When we see the High Priestess, the Page of Cups, and or the Moon card, it indicates some kind of spiritual initiation. So Pisces season, it's the perfect time, right? It's High Priestess season. One, it feels like Pisces season is bringing you a lot of spiritual upgrades, which in very many ways may give you the information, the strategy, and the spiritual power in which to unstick yourself from places where you do not want to be stuck. What's specifically being asked of you is, one, spiritually, to kind of start with a beginner's mind, recognize, like the Hermit, that, like, you have all of this information, you have all of this skill, but there's always room to experiment, to try something different, right? With the Page of Cups here, like, this is an artist. It looks like they're finger painting, right? It's like they have paint all over themselves. There's something messy here. It's really expansive. It's just like this pure autistic expression, and they're, like, really excited about it. They're really comfortable, and they're also, like, in their own space. So especially with, like, the privacy of the High Priestess here, it feels like something that's being asked of you this Pisces season is to carve out, like, a sacred space for yourself, or at the very least some, like, independent or some private time to connect with your spirit and connect with the Great Spirit in different ways. I like that we're moving here from, like, traditional High Priestess tools like divination, right? Tarot cards, runes, crystal balls, to also moving to different intuitive tools like paints and canvases and colors, right? Nature. So I'm wondering if part of what's happening is you're going to be learning different divination methods, such as being able to read signs and omens, being able to discern the way that the current in a river is running and be able to pull a message from that. There feels as if there is more of a nature-based divination, a nature-based spirituality, a coming back down to earth, bare feet, right? That's being asked of you this Pisces season, because it feels like in the realm of the high priestess, you are absolutely, like, seemingly an expert, right? Like, you've got that mastered. But in terms of more natural, earth-based, less material forms of divination, you might not be as well studied in those areas, and it feels like that is where some of your attention wants to be directed to. There's also a level of fun here. Thing about pages, they represent students and they represent children, so they don't have like that many responsibilities, right? And so there is something about, like, if you feel like very mission based, like you have a mission for the collective or for humanity or society or, you know, whatever it is, that's wonderful. But like, take that off your shoulders for a second. Remember, the universe like takes care of everyone and all things, and kind of just bring it back down to earth, step outside of that responsibility, so that way you can just come into more of a creative flow. Right? And now in terms of where Pisces season is trying to take you, this is really interesting because you have the King of Pentacles and you have the Hierophant. So it feels like, Libra, this sense of responsibility or this desire for accomplishment, a desire even for abundance, all of that stuff that you have, there's nothing wrong with it. And perhaps the reason why you even have those desires to begin with is because you're meant to have them, right? Even in this card, he has his cake and he eats it too, right? But with this Hierophant, there isn't like this strong level of like routine and tradition and information, right? It's much more fluid. It's much more open. There's a lot less stuff. There's more room to breathe here. I like this Hierophant card because she's not sitting like at a pulpit. It's much more intimate. It's much more personal, this connection, right? And so it feels like in a lot of ways, Pisces season is putting you in like a little bit of a pit stop in order to tap into a more grounded sense of spirituality and expression, so that way you can more intimately and sincerely connect with others to share your mission, to share your skills, your ability, even your insights, whatever it is, so that way when you do get to the level of stability or success or upholding all of the responsibilities or roles that you want, you also feel very grounded in yourself. You also are having sincere connections with others. There's also room for sort of fluid creativity, and that way you do get to have your cake and eat it too. So it's almost like you're taking like a mini masterclass in vibes, you know? Like, that's kind of what it feels like. I like it though. That's good stuff. What does it say? Where's my virtual hamburger? That's so funny. Here you go. I didn't know it was going to have such an effect. I didn't know it was going to have such an effect. Very good. Okay, so Scorpio. Scorpio had a really cool reading yesterday on the Patreon. I forget. The Perpetual Grown-Up. That's what Scorpio's reading was called yesterday on Patreon. The Perpetual Grown-Up. And sort of like how to navigate that. It's very cool. Woo, woo. Alright, let's see. Stamp. An hour. And 20. I'll give it 20 more seconds. 22 minutes. Because that will be easier for me to timestamp. I have to do math. When I do the live stream on my phone, it's like 81 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm like, can't you just put like an hour and 20 minutes? Like, do you have to torture me? The answer is yes. All right. Ooh, it's raining. Can you hear? Sounds so good. All right, Scorpio. Let's see. Who? What? Where? Page of Pentacles, Six of Wands. This is interesting. Okay. Hold for production, Scorpio. Okay, so you have the Six of Pentacles coming out first, Scorpio. In terms of who Pisces season is trying to help you to be, what I want to say is there is more than one way to help someone, right? She very easily, like, could be giving them pentacles, right? Like, some kind of, like, physical or monetary, like, assistance. She could also be giving them advice, right? I like the sort of, like, intergenerational aspect that's going on here. It feels like part of what Pisces season is wanting to do is to remind you of your usefulness, no matter where you are, how old you are, or where you are in the process, that this individual can be just as helpful to sort of like this more mature woman. This adolescent or this child could be, you know, holding some kind of wisdom, you know, like out of the mouths of babes that can help both of these characters. It actually looks like they're both looking at sort of like this younger person right here. And so I'm wondering, Scorpio, if maybe like learning from a younger generation, maybe a little Gen Z action, you know, kind of get hip with the kids or whatever they say these days. Like there's something interesting about that. There's something here about the fact that his hand is on his chest, almost like he feels like the need to like explain himself. There's sort of a bit of like this protector type of energy. And I say that because in the what position, what is required of you in Pisces season, what is being asked of you, the Five of Wands comes out, which is an energy that is not afraid of confrontation, right? So what I want to say, Six of Pentacles is a minor arcana version of justice, and it feels to me like Pisces season is trying to help you become someone similar to Gemini, that is available to be of service, of philanthropic value to other people, sort of like the everyday people, right? Because these aren't people that are living in like the lap of luxury. Pisces season is trying to get you to recognize that you are someone who has a certain amount of privilege. It may not be financial privilege, it may not be neighborhood privilege, but it's some kind of privilege, even if it's just the privilege of an open mind, an open ear, a big heart, being able to listen to, protect, defend, advocate for. There's a sense of advocacy here for other people. Maybe the generations that came after you. Maybe it's holding generations that came before you accountable and not being afraid of the confrontation of that amongst your peers. You, as a sign, you tend to be a little bit more private than others, which means that you also do a lot of private grumblings. And I'm wondering if Pisces season is asking you, especially on some of these like bigger issues, more societal issues, to not hold your tongue or to not be afraid of confrontation or advocation or asserting yourself, because what happens is that there's no new opinions that get put into the mix. You are suppressing an aspect of a very important truth, and also a truth that may be very relevant to others as well, right? And then you have the Knight of Wands coming up next. For where is Pisces season trying to take you? It's trying to take you to a place where you can take on much more of these bigger spiritual or philosophical or societal battles, right? There's this feeling here that you value your privacy, you like to sort of do your own thing. You don't really want to be like in the schoolyard with everyone else. And to be honest, like, I don't blame you. But there's also a sense that you want to enact like a greater change. With the Six of Pentacles and the Five of Wands, there also is a feeling here of like mediation, being like some kind of moderator. And so there's a balance that you're being asked to strike between stepping up as an advocate, not being afraid of confrontation, being able to speak your mind even if other people don't agree with it, but also from the posture or the positioning of wanting to actually make progress, not just talk shit to talk shit, but what? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Jennifer, you threw me off for a second. But from a position or a posture to actually get the progress that you are trying to obtain, and not just fight for the sake of fighting. Does that make sense? The Four of Swords and the Ten of Pentacles is coming out as well at the top and the bottom of the deck, right? And so like there's something here about like distribution, or like other people who are in positions of like power or privilege, just kind of like resting on their laurels, not realizing that like other people also need help and like they need assistance, right? Like I said, it feels a little bit like Gemini's energy in the sense that it's very philanthropic, but your energy feels much more assertive. And as a Scorpio, like you can kind of stand the heat in a way that a mutable sign might be too sensitive to, right? And I'm not saying that you're gonna go like do something crazy, but I think that if you find yourself suppressing your opinion, if you find yourself afraid to speak out about certain things because of confrontation, it's a good time to work through that and maybe even find sort of like the core root. It's not your fault, Jennifer. It's me, it's not you. To find the core root of a fear of confrontation or of speaking up about your truth or yourself or what you see going on around you, right? For some of you, and this is just a side note, it's not going to apply to all of you, with this Four of Swords and this Ten of Pentacles, this might talk about your family. Some of you might actually, like, come from, like, relatively privileged backgrounds. Like, you might have had, like, certain privileges or certain comforts that, like, a lot of other people did not. And you might see your family not being as philanthropic or not being as charitable or maybe feeling a little, like, entitled or ungrateful. There might be something there for you. So some of this being outspoken or being assertive might have to do within like your own family, right? And it's like I'm grateful that my parents, like they worked hard, they provided me a very good and comfortable life, but like what about all of these other people, right? So like you might be having some of those conversations with people close to you, but it does feel like it's liberating, because if you can have that conversation with yourself, if you can, you know, assert yourself in the world or to your family, then like you can do it out there into the world too and enact like that more impactful or that bigger change that seemingly you're wanting to, right? Don't forget, like Pisces season, Pisces energy is also really philanthropic in nature as well. It's the last/oldest sign in the Zodiac, meaning that it has seen all of the trials and all of the errors, and all of the experiences, the pains, the victories, all of it that like everyone had after it. Do you know what I mean? All of the other signs. And so much like Aquarius, like they're very tapped into like the collective energy and the collective need. Speaking of Aquarius, come here. Let's see. Scorpio, no, Sagittarius. Hours, 9, 30 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. Sagittarius. Let's see. Ooh. What? Where? Okay. Hold for production. So, for who, Sagittarius? You have the Ace of Wands coming up. There's a sense of wonder with this card. Wonderment is sort of what I want to say. There's also a little bit of this like Alice through the looking glass, Alice through the rabbit hole type of energy as well. There's an alchemization of like drive, power, right? Fire in the tarot, the wands. It talks about drive, passion, motivation, desire. It feels like part of what Pisces season wants to help you to become is someone that is deeply physically connected with their desires, with their creative ideas, with their expression. There's a sense of being able to surprise yourself. Aces are also beginnings. So it feels like Pisces season is trying to renegotiate your relationship with yourself by reminding you that you have a lot of aspects and qualities and talents that perhaps like you have forgotten about. So in a way, it feels like you have to sort of relearn and remember like a lot of these skills and these qualities that you have. Sagittarian energy can be very excitable, it's very social, it's very friendly, it's very adventurous, like it's very curious. Like Sagittarian energy is like one of my favorite energies. It's one of my favorite signs, right? And over time, we get these layers put on us, right? We kind of fall into a routine. We do the same thing. We do what works for us, right? And so it just feels like Pisces season is trying to remind you of like this younger version of yourself that embodied a lot more whimsy, a lot more wonderment, and that when they approach these different desires that they had, or when they explore these different interests that they had, they always found themselves pleasantly surprised at how it felt and how good they were at it. I think that Pisces season is trying to get you to be someone that is picking up new skills or re-picking up old skills that you left behind, so that way you can positively surprise yourself, step into more of a youthful energy, and really like begin your relationship with yourself on a fresh foot and a new page. How you're going to do that, it feels like what Pisces season is asking you to do with the Emperor card is to really sort of like step up to the plate. There's this feeling of sort of sleeping on yourself or only putting in like 50% effort. It's like, I like to call it like the attendance credit. Sometimes we show up for attendance, right? But like we're not actually putting the work in. The Emperor is a character that is like very responsible, but he's like very responsible for himself. It's this feeling of, it's my job, like it's my problem, like I'm not waiting for something outside of me to do it, to fix it, to make these plans. I'm gonna chart the sky myself. He also, because of this sort of like mountainy landscape that he has, there's also a little bit of this energy of like a pioneer or an adventurer, right? Traveling to places that like we haven't seen before, that maybe we've just mapped out, you know, intuitively or astrologically here, right? I think it's interesting that he has a dog in this card, and the dog looks like it's sleeping, because dogs talk about our desires, and it also talks about like our loyalties as well. You know, aces are similar to pages in the sense that they're beginning energies, and so there seems to be a recognition here that like what Pisces season wants you to do is to reconnect to this aspect of yourself that you once embodied but have since forgotten, and also recognize that there are things you want to do, embodiments you want to be, there's things you want to accomplish that cannot be done unless you recommit yourself to the process, unless you recommit yourself to this new sense of being, till you recommit yourself to picking up these skills, these tools that have worked for you in the past, right? It's a feeling here of like, he needs to get off this throne. He needs to wake the dog up. He needs to remember like who he is, what he's about, if he actually wants to get where his map is trying to bring him to go. Does that make sense? And when we're looking at like where Pisces season is trying to take you, we have the Tower and we have Five of Pentacles, which immediately obviously don't like feel like good energies, right? But like what wants to come through here, it's trying to take you to a place where you're not afraid of like walking around or walking away from things that like aren't going to provide you the long-term stability, but also satisfaction that you want. It's not enough for it to be stable. It also has to be satisfying. It has to be inspiring. It has to be activating. Otherwise, you won't last with it for too long. You'll get bored and you'll run away, just like Sagittarius does. Like, you have a bit of a reputation for being flighty. Something can be stable, but if it's not stimulating, if it's not inspiring, if it's not satisfying, you won't stick with it, which is why this Emperor looks so goddamn bored sitting in this throne up here, even though he's like in this really beautiful environment, right? So Pisces season is asking you to tap into this younger version of yourself, remind yourself how satisfying and good it feels to be challenging yourself, to be learning new skills, the creative process, right? So that way you can take sort of charge of your life and build and be that which is both stable and satisfying to you at the same time, and not being afraid to walk away from anything that isn't doing that. Very good. Higher standards. Higher standards for yourself and your experiences. Bye, Sheila. I love you. This is reminding me of the prince in the UK royal family and his different life choices. Is he a Sagittarius? Is Prince Harry a Sagittarius? I think. Is Meghan Markle a Sagittarius? I feel like one of them is a Sagittarius. I don't know which one. I like me a little Prince Harry. I like a ginger. Sag getting their wand is exciting. I love an upright fire sign. Don't you? Don't you? Me too. I absolutely love it too. Sagittarius is such a fun energy. Like, if you want to go to a party, like, if you want a summer fling, like, you want to go to a concert, get a Sagittarius. Get a Sagittarius. If you have to go do something boring, bring a Sagittarius, because they're going to make it fun for you. And, you know, Sagittarius is also, like, the eternal optimist, but it does not mean that they're the eternal realists. And, you know, part of Saturn's aspect to Pisces, and Saturn moving into Pisces for the next 2.5, 3 years, is, again, like, don't just talk about it, be about it. That, you know, you can be really inspired, you can have all of this fun, you can have all of these really good ideas, and if you don't actually, like that Emperor, like, put in the effort, commit to the process, it's not actually, like, going to get done, and you won't have anyone to blame but yourself. It's not going to be the universe's fault, it's not going to be Saturn's fault, it's going to be your fault, right? Because, again, Saturn does not care about our feelings. Just doesn't. I wish it did, but, like, that's what we have, like, the moon for. You know what I mean? It's like, don't go to Cronus with your feelings. Go to Kate. Go to Venus. Go to, like, literally anyone else. Go to anyone else. All right. Capricorn. Let's see. Give it out. And trying to do the math, the mental math in my head. It's not the side of the brain that I'm the best in. 39 minutes. 30 seconds. Okay. Capricorn. Let's see. Let me know, do you guys like this type of, I've done like a bajillion Zodiac live streams, but do you like this one with like a specific, like, who, what, where, like past, present, future, as opposed to like more of like the open, let's just see what happens? Do you have a preference? Is one more helpful than the other? Let me know. Let me know. All right, Capricorn. Ooh. Oh, wow. I'm going to shuffle these actually a little bit more. Hold for production. I'm going to shuffle these a little bit more. Because the Tower and the Five of Pentacles just came out again. We just had that. And if it's meant to come out again, it will come out again. But this might need a little bit more of an intense shuffling. Maybe you need a little bit of a shuffle. Because, I mean, like, the way my brain works is, like, no, we literally just saw that. Like, we need something different. And so, Capricorn, like, maybe Pisces season, you're realizing, like, which patterns or things that are cyclical for you, or, like, stuff that, like, you've already seen before. You're like, I know, I get it. And having to, like, more intentionally look for diversification. Sort of what I want to say. Pisces puts me in my Saturn doesn't give any F's. That's exactly right. Saturn's like, cry about it and then get back to work. Saturn feels very much like capitalism to me. All right, let's see Capricorn. Who? That's better. That makes more sense to me. What? Where? Okay. Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands at the top of the bottom. It's a little bit of anxiety. It's a little bit of nervousness. That's really interesting to me. Like cart before the horse type of energy. This feels like I just rushed into it. This feels like I fucked around and now I found out. That's what that feels like to me. Like immediately. Okay, so Capricorn. Who is Pisces season trying to help you to become? The Eight of Pentacles and the Two of Wands is coming out. So there seems to be sort of like this connection between like a macro and a micro energy. Being able to stay on top of like the day-to-day work that is necessary for you to get to a bigger or a broader mission. The thing is that the 8 is pretty far along in the suit. So like you may be like pretty far along in the process of learning, of doing, of creating, of trying, right? The efforting. But in terms of like the grand scheme, the grand plan that you have for yourself, you may still very much feel like you're in the beginning process, right? And there can be like a sense of frustration there, but there's something about like being engaged in the process for the sake of it. There's also something here about like the quality of the work. So, you know, Capricorns just like to get shit done, and you're very good at getting stuff done while making sure like it is of like a sufficient quality. But there is something here about things not really like living up to your standards, but some of that also has to do with like your own work, your own intentions, like your own efforting. And I'm wondering if because on the micro scale, you've already been doing something for a very long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it feels like you haven't made a lot of progress overall. That has caused you to maybe be like a little bit impulsive, maybe jump the gun, only then to find yourself in places where you feel sort of vulnerable, unprepared, or then outnumbered. So there wants to be kind of a release here. Pisces season is wanting to make you into a person who is able to see both the immediate and the big picture, to align your work, stay in the process, make sure that your work is aligned to the bigger picture, but making sure that you're present enough in the process to make sure that what you're efforting or what you're doing is of your level of quality. Because your standard of quality is different than everyone else's. And you know that. You know that. Does that make sense? How you're going to do that is the 5 of Pentacles, right? So I think some of the Saturn aspect with Pisces is trying to employ like a little bit of discipline. How you're going to do that is work the process for exactly what it is. So there's a releasing of expectations, of entitlements that I'm feeling off of this 5 of Pentacles card. There's also a sense of like intentionally walking away from comfort, right? It feels like today with this card in this position, it feels like they walked out of like the warmth and the comfort of this house. You may be required in Pisces season, again, because you are ruled by Saturn, to put in more effort. You probably don't want to hear that, but it feels like you're being required to intentionally put yourself in a position where you are uncomfortable because it will make you work harder. Do you know what I mean? It's going to make you work harder. It's going to make you hold that long-term vision and really allow you to like sink your teeth into the work that you're doing to get there. And when it comes to there, where is Pisces season trying to take you? It's interesting because we have the 10 of Swords and like we have the King of Pentacles, right? So this feels a little bit like Virgo's energy in the sense of like you've been through it, right? Like you've had some difficult times, and like there maybe even have been like some bad advice you took with all of these swords pointing down, which for me talks about distortion, right? There may have been times where like people did not help you when they should have, right? And so again, a lot of this is like the releasing of expectations, the expectations of support, the expectation of help, of things being easier, of things happening sooner. There's a dawn of a new day approaching, right? So one, it's trying to take you, Pisces season is trying to take you to a place where you recognize the end of a cycle for what it is and not to fight against it. Because in this card, she's reaching for the broom, right? These brooms are meant to be flown in the air, but the solution doesn't come from necessarily like changing the thoughts or changing the beliefs. The change comes from this King of Pentacles by staying kind of rooted in reality, focusing on consistency, commitment, perseverance, right? And that is going to allow you to get to the stage of development that you actually want to be at. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see. Aquarius, in the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. All right, 47 minutes, an hour and 47 minutes, Aquarius. That's nice. All right. Let's see. Let's see. That's interesting. It almost feels like there's like a melody that I can just like barely hear, and like I can't totally identify. It's almost like when you have a lyric from a song stuck in your head, but you can't remember what song it is. Do you know what I mean? That's what that feels like. It's almost like having to like pull on a thread. So I'm wondering if this is like a little bit of like a Nancy Drew energy, Aquarius, that you're in. Capricorn. Oh, snap. Oh, that's my problem. I was like, how do I have 2 more signs? I don't have 2 more signs. I put Capricorn and Aquarius twice. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. I was like, how do I have 2 more signs? I do not. Oh, fuck. That means I fucked up that thing. It's gonna be fine. No, it's not. Yeah, it's fine. I got it. No, I got it. I'm wondering... I put Capricorn and Aquarius on my list twice. So I'm wondering if Aquarius, like, you're in a little bit of this, like, Nancy Drew, solve the puzzle, like, follow the clues down the yellow brick road type of energy. And I literally already hear you groaning in the ether. Like, ugh. I'll make the rules. I just read the cards. Let's see. If the Page of Swords hops out, I'm gonna giggle. Who? 3 of Pentacles. This kind of needs another one. Chariot. What? Ooh. That surprised me. Holy smokes. Page of Swords. Just as I expected. Where? Alright. Interesting. Okay, 10 of Wands at the bottom, 8 of Pentacles at the top. So immediately sort of dropping burdens. I saw the Empress peeking out too. There's something about like dropping dead weight, dropping burdens that make it harder for you to like tend to your work, or like the energy is coming from like refinement, and they're bringing me back to that, like pulling on the string or like putting together the puzzle pieces. And they're showing me an image of like a hunter dog, like a bloodhound, where it's like they get the scent of something and it's like they're really good at like tracking it down, right? It feels as if, and I've used this analogy before, that Aquarius, like what you want is like a block over from where you are. It's not totally different than what you're doing. It's not a night and day thing. It's just like a block over. When we're looking at who Pisces season is helping to become, we have the 3 of Pentacles and like we have the Chariot. So there's something here about learning the difference between when it is most beneficial to work with others and when it is most beneficial to work alone. There also is something here about, they keep saying squeeze out. There may be like some situations, some projects, some collaborations, some stuff you have going on with others that was meant to be like an equal participant type of situation, but very quickly like feeling as though like your ideas are not being listened to or honored, or other people are kind of starting to like squeeze you out of like the creative process. Does that make sense? And like you kind of needing to like go your own way. As I was talking about like dropping dead weight, that dead weight may come by way of collaborations, group projects, stuff that you're wanting to do in like more of a communal energy. So it feels like Pisces season is trying to help you become someone who is not afraid of like cutting people loose, cutting some strings, cutting some ties, and knowing when it's time for you to go into a different direction. Because I just see this 3 of Pentacles character looking at the wall and going, like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't my vision. And there's a feeling here of like trying to, when you try to please everyone, you will most definitely always end up the most dissatisfied, right? And if we look at this Chariot card, there's this way, there's that way. There might even be like a third way that's available. but it's about like an independent decision. So on one aspect, I could even see some of this being like spiritually, like there are a lot of you guys that are maybe like a little too codependent on spirit. Like I've been guilty of this before, but feeling as though like you can't make a decision unless there's like a sign or a confirmation or like something for it, right? Not being independent enough in your decision making, even though like you already possess intuition, right? A gut instinct. So whether it's more practical or whether it's like more metaphysical, it feels like Pisces season is trying to help you to become someone that is confident in dropping dead weight, learning when it's time to walk away from like a project or a group, something that's not working, and to feel more empowered to make your own independent choices, right? So how we're going to do that is through death, which is why I giggled, because I was like, I wasn't expecting that, and the Page of Swords. So what wants to come through is like question everything, Aquarius. What Pisces season is asking of you is to question everything. Is this working? Is this right? Is this what I want? Is this good for others? Is this good for myself? Is this in alignment with my beliefs and my ideologies? Are my ideologies and beliefs even working for me? Do I have the right idea? Do I need to shift something, right? Like really, again, like a detective, like Nancy Drew, what are the motives? Like, you know, drawing like the lines between one picture and one map and another, and like really allowing like that inner genius that you have to sort of like come out and start moving different pieces around, sort of like Pangea, right? Like just kind of separate all the continents, start moving stuff around. And then with this death card, right? There's that string. He has, see, it looks like it's frayed right in the middle, and then he has this big sword, and he's not afraid to just cut it, right? The old from the new. And if you look in this card too, if you look at the floor, do you see how it's like all smoky? That's a lot of this Piscean energy. Piscean energy, and I told it to the Patreons, and I'll tell it to you too. If you are not keeping your wits about you, Piscean energy and season, it will pick you up like a rip current, and you don't know where it's gonna take you, right? It's a lot of this like a illusory type of energy that it's very easy to get lost in the sauce in. But by questioning things, right? Is this working? Is this right? Is this what I want? Does this match up to like the experience, the information that I had? Do I need more information? Allowing yourself to be like a 1950s detective with like the funny hat and like the cigar and like all of the maps everywhere. It's going to allow you to figure out like what the culprit is. And that culprit might just be incompatibility, whether it's in certain relationships or certain projects or whatever it may be, and not being afraid. Remember, death is inevitable, right? So there's sort of like a bite the bullet type of energy here. Death is inevitable. It comes for everyone. And there are these things that you can keep working at, these relationships you can keep maintaining, but between you, me, and what about Bob, we all know sooner or later it's not going to work out. So kind of cut the dead weight as soon as you can, so that way you can get back to work on reformulating is what I want to say. And in terms of like where Pisces season is trying to take you, it's interesting. Essentially, it's the Eight of Cups, right? It's wanting to take you to a place where you're recognizing when it's time to leave, when it's time to carry on. The thing about the Eight of Cups, it's not, she's in search of the two. She needs 10 cups. That's the goal in the Suit of Cups. She wants to have all 10 cups. So she's not necessarily like abandoning all of these cups. She's going out to get the other two she needs. So like she has a full set, right? So it might just be, again, a certain relationship, a certain partnership that isn't working. It's slowing down the process. So you need to go and get a new collaborator, or, you know, a new emotional equilibrium, something like that. Before that, we have the Tower, the Five of Wands, and then we have the Hangman, right? So what it's trying to like take you through, it almost feels like the pattern of like things crumbling down, everybody arguing about whose fault it is or why it's not working, and then meanwhile everyone just stays stuck and no one actually goes anywhere, right? Whereas if you are instead able to kind of do this analysis ahead of time, cut your losses where you can, drop the baggage where you can, then you can get back to work finding the other two pentacles that you need, which talks about balance and decision making, and finding the other two cups that you need. And if you can do that, then you'll end up with both the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles, which is privilege, security, harmony, community. It's all of it. Right? So sometimes it's like we have to cut off a finger in order to save the arm, you know? So what we got. So what we got, guys. We did it. Yeah, we did it. We did it. Is that Dora the Explorer? Maybe that makes sense if that's Dora the Explorer, because that's sort of like you, Aquarius. They're all fun. I think it depends. Kudos on the lemon meringue color nail polish. Good color choice for Pisces season. Thank you. Also, like lime green and like chartreuse, they keep showing me for Pisces season. Because again, Pisces season, it can get a little murky. It can even get like a little melancholic, right? Once we start dipping into like the Neptunian fish as opposed to like the Jupiter fish. So they're showing me like brights, neons, vibrant pastels, like using color theory to sort of like keep the morale, keep the energy up. I also just really like yellow. So, that's what we got, guys. We did it. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. Thank you to everyone who showed up for the live chat. I'm going to leave this up on replay for everyone else. I have, I believe, successfully written down all the timestamps so that way I can put them in the comments for you guys. I love you very much. Happy hump day. I hope you have a good week. Make sure to check out Patreon for all of the Zodiac readings, the monthly readings, and our weekly and our weekend updates. So that way you're always on top of the energy and not behind. And I will see you next time.